this.
All right, boys, here we go, boys and girls. We are kicking it off. Took a while to get here, but the Qeason finals preview is up and running. And,
Yeah, we have a bit of a hiatus going on, obviously. For those of you probably unaware, Mr. Beggs here was on a bit of a hiatus. He had hip replacement surgery
on my left hip.
September 24th, I think, was it?
Yeah, and today, don't call it a comeback, I played in the B game. That's like 75 days after the hip thing. And I said it to, if anyone's ever heard me, 2 weeks in, you are convinced that you are never going to be able to, it's the worst. It's such a long recovery process, but I'm very happy with how today went. Thanks to Phil and the, what's this team called? The
Shredders?
No. Steph and the Shredders and Phil and the Nomads. Yeah, I know. So today, the game was tied 2-2. I played half for one team, half for the other team. It was tied 2-2, and I was a -4. Every single goal that had been scored by both teams, I was on the ice getting scored on. So, yeah. But then my team in the end won.
-4, you mean?
I was that's what I mean by a dash. I was a -4.
Every goal that
the
opponent scored.
So the first 2 goals that were on the ice for the Shredder scored when I was playing for the Nomads were scored on when I was on the ice. And then I switched over, and it was 2-0. And then I switched over to the Shredders, and while I was playing with the Shredders, the Nomads scored 2 goals to tie it up, and both of those I was on the ice for. It was amazing, and they were both the ones, especially the Nomads ones, were both my fault. Zuzu went around me, and a puck came tipped out on the boards that I should have got back to, and just saucered to somebody that rifled it. So, but my team won in the end.
Well, it was good for you to get on the ice.
Oh yeah, I was pretty tentative in the beginning, and then I was like tentative and gassed in the end. I kind of figured out what I could do and what I didn't. I fell twice.
So you got your feet wet by reffing a few games too before you went out there.
So one time I was by the net and sort of there was a jostle, and rather than even sort of try and put any weight on my leg, I just kind of fell. I did like a WWE fall or whatever, but
no worse for wear.
All good, right? Back in hockey. Oh, awesome. So let's get on to talk about your game today. Talk about the A. How has the A season been?
Well, first talk about the game today was a nothing game. Didn't mean anything for the standings. It was just playing out the string. So we were playing our last regular season game against the Doom Bashers, who had already secured #1 seed as a result of us losing earlier in the week to the Oil Kings. So as it stands now, the Doom Bashers will be #1 seed. We'll have probably a week or more off as a bye. And
so how does the playoffs work? This one,
so this is the first time, I think, pretty sure, that both the semifinals and the finals will be best 2 out of 3.
Right. So
before it was a 1-game, 1-off, basically sudden death, win, advance, 1 game, loser goes home, and then you advance to the final to play best 2 out of 3 versus the #1 seed. This time around, we've changed it up a little bit, and the semis are going to be 2 out of 3 as well. So, as you know, anything can happen given how.
Do you think it's going to have an effect on the first place team having that much time off? Do you think there's a possibility for whoever comes out of that to be able to steal the first game, maybe even the second game, right?
That's always something that we're cognizant of when we go in. Like, I think what happened last fall in particular was a good example. I think Jimmy's team was decidedly #1 seed going in. They had a great regular season, the Ice Cats last fall, and they were well touted as probably going to run away with it. And as it turned out, they had a week off, or not a week off, but they had a considerable amount of days off, even with it just being a 1-game, 1-off with, I can't remember the dynamic now why that was the case, but the Kings and The Doom Bashers.
Ice or something happened.
Yeah, they played their game, so the boys had a bit of time off. You lose people then based on their schedules as well. Maybe it wouldn't jive for certain guys, particularly the pilots. If they're not in town, they don't get to choose their schedule, so it might have been luck of the draw with regard to people being missing. But Jimmy Mack attributed to being a little bit slow, not slow, what's the word I'm looking for? Rusty.
Right.
Rusty, for lack of a better term. Rusty going into the final.
So,
And thought it cost him, that the time off did cost him.
so talk about this year and what do you see for how A's shaping up, who's been good players and stuff. So I will throw it in mind from what I've seen. You guys, when you got all your guns firing, oh my goodness, like Yuri, Peter, and Yessi playing together in some kind of combination is unreal. For, as I say, in a mall in Qatar, that is some really high-level hockey, right? Like, those guys are getting each other. But, like, the last two games, you guys have been getting into each other a little bit. And I don't know if it's like because that's how you guys play your best, but when you can be self-destructive.
Well, I mean, sometimes the old cliche is it is what it is. You don't have your top guys, and it's predicated. How you do is so much predicated on what your top line guys are doing. If they're not there, well, obviously you're up against it. So the last few games we've been without the services of Peter Kristanix and Yuri Krinkenov. Both of those guys are probably arguably top 5 guys when they're there, right? So we have Yesse, who's top 2 or 3.
When you have all you guys, though, no
So,
doubt you guys are an
yeah.
absolute wagon. You are a wagoon. Like,
Yeah.
having that and then Hartzog on, like...
It's well-oiled machine, I would say. When we have those two guys to compare, usually Yuri would play with Yesse, and probably Ryan would play on the wing with both of those guys. And then Peter would center the second line. Maybe Hartzog would be on the wing. And then you have Will, maybe, who's had to play defense quite a bit based on our roster as it goes from game to game. And it is what it is. And I hate to be cliche about it, but that's how it turns out to be a lot of the time. That
So
if you don't have your guys,
what
then
are you
gotta
guys?
make up
What are
for
you
it.
guys worried about? What's the Bashers' best combination when they're going good? What makes them click?
Well, obviously, they get so much offense generated from John Finnegan from the back end.
Right.
And Jeremy is arguably one of the most talented, if not the most talented guy
Leading the league,
in
isn't he?
the league. Yeah,
Is he
and
top scorer?
when he wants to put his mind to it, he's as good as anybody. So when you have two of those guys on the ice, pretty much 60 minutes the whole game, they can counter effect what can go on opposing them, right? So it all runs through Finnegan on the back end, and if Jeremy gets his opportunities, he's going to score. He's got the big shot, and
60
it's
points
hard.
he's ended up with.
So it's hard to combat that, but when we have those 3 forwards, Jesse, Peter, and Yuri, it bodes well for us. But both of the guys, Yuri and Peter, missed quite amount of games because they're pilots, so that's their schedule. So we don't know. Like, we kind of got to play a different game when they're not there, and we got to be more cognizant of fundamentals and stuff, and play sound hockey as opposed to relying on those guys to get points. But when we have them there, it's like fast break. It's like Lakers in the
Right.
LA Lakers in the 80s and 90s with Magic Johnson running the show.
Right.
Fast break, and that's how we would dominate the game, I would think.
So let me ask you this: with your next series upcoming against the Kings, what would have to happen for the Kings to, in your mind, for you guys to? I mean, the Kings haven't had a great season in terms of points and stuff, and they've. How do they give you guys a game 3 scary
Well, like
night?
they did in the regular season, the second last game this week on Tuesday night. They had their arguably their top 10 guys. They didn't have any more than 10, and that's key when you can roll 2 lines and not get too caught up in mixing lines and getting guys in and stuff. When you have 2 lines, that's the premium. And Simon Graham was a big addition to have when he's back in the lineup. He's one of the better D guys, and they combine that with Nathaniel on the back end. And plus, they've got sound D. They've got probably the best defensive core in the.
And D is at a premium in A, right? Like there's to get guys that can play it consistently
so like they have Simon and Nathaniel, and they can have Rob back there, Rob Carter, and Jeff Agnew. So when they have those 4 guys, they are not arguably, they have the best defense.
Right.
And then they have Sean McCallum, who is their game breaker up front. So
you don't get it.
And they're pretty. I think they're deep. They're deep. They're not like they don't have the game breakers that say we the Ice Cats and the Doombashers have, but they're deeper. They're pretty much fundamentally sound, and they play a good game to keep it close.
Right.
So it all depends. Like everything, like we say this all the time. It depends on who shows up and what So they could very well give us a hard go, and I see this being a very competitive series.
So who do you think of the new guys, the new players or guys that have come up from B? Who do you think have been standouts so far, or been pleasant surprises, or whatever?
Well,
Tony Onestri? I think Tony Onestri's been pretty.
What often happens with regard to that is the fall season seems to be a feeling out a lot of the time. If in particular, if there's new guys that come into the league, that the jury's out on what their skill level is, and they kind of go under the radar a little bit, and people didn't notice them, and then you know what you got after the fall season. So therefore, the winter season in January, it seems to be that nobody's flying under the radar anymore. So, but having to answer your question, I'd say this fall we've had, what I've noticed from B is that, well, Tony came up and plays. He's Jimmy drafted him to play defense for us Ice Cats, and he's been very good. He played in B in all last season, I think. But he's physical. He can get on the puck. He's got a good motor. So he's been a pleasant surprise.
Yarno, who went back to Finland, Yarno was very solid, and it was good for him to go
and
out like that.
And a shout out to our friend Yarno,
see you, buddy.
who left Doha last week. We're going to miss you terribly. So all the best to you in the I think I was going to say the Great White North, but the Scandinavian North of Finland. Tony's been a good addition in A. I'm trying to think of other guys that have. Yarno obviously was both of them have filled in admirably.
Was Bert the new? He's come over, right?
Bert. This is Bert's first year though, isn't it?
Is it?
In the fall, I think.
Yeah.
So Bert, I can't remember what is Bert's surname. Bert is from Germany, I think.
Yeah. Evengi as well. Is he? Evengi, the Russian guy with the red gloves and the white stick.
Yeah, Evgeny. I can't pronounce his last name. It's not OV, like a lot of Russian names are. Yeah. Petrov.
It's something like Sulima or something like that. Something different. Sorry, buddy.
It almost looks like it's Croatian or something. Yeah. But anyway, he's new this year as well, so he's been good. And then to speak of some guys that have subbed over the course of the fall from B into A. One guy that comes to mind that I think is not going to go under the radar. He will probably go in A in the draft in January. Is Benjamin, the young Finn guy.
Yeah, he's not going to be around in B. His footwork is not B.
He's like I think 21.
Yeah, is he? I think he's 19.
He's old enough to play. Obviously.
Well, he only has to be 18, right? But
but he has a younger brother who actually. When I saw 17. Both of them in Shinny in August, I think his younger brother was actually more shifty and more offensive upside. But this guy, Ben, he subbed for us a couple times. He's the real deal. I think he could be definitely a third or fourth defenseman.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
if you need him to fill in and round out the roster on D. So, and he can play forward. He played forward for us one game as well. So.
Well, that's okay. Let's talk about B now. Let's talk about so you've got the Surfers are on top, Nomads in second. Not Surfers, sorry. Shredders on top, Nomads in second. Surfers are in third with a bit of space. The Nomads and Surfers actually line up pretty good if they have all their players. Dean kind of got messed up when Alex V went down. Alex V had dropped down to B, and we were quite surprised by. So he was going to be something special. But
what happened to Alex V?
He broke his wrist like the first game in the. He did something. He's been out the whole season. First or second game.
Did he break his wrist playing hockey?
Yeah. So I think maybe got hit on the. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, he's been out. So. But they have Zuzu. They have a puncher's chance. I'm
not insinuating that he broke his wrist doing anything else. So maybe he'll come back in the new year.
Yeah, he should be okay for that. Otherwise, yeah, B's been pretty good. There's a lot of good players. Anything you've seen, noticed from B guys? I mean, outside of Ben, Squire's been amazing. Squires is like he was slicing it up today, getting his goals.
It's almost
talking
like
his smack.
Squires when he plays B, he plays B like he's taking it out on Pontius Pilate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the Messiah.
Yeah.
And he bears the cross.
He feels
and
the flow coming out the back. Go Squires.
So Squires, yeah, he's a competitor.
But he's very like in B. He's very like good in the open ice and moving around and stuff. He can definitely. Yeah. So the first play of the game today when I was playing. Squires coming up the boards. I'm super like cautious about my hip, and I did like a 3-point. My feet were so far apart, and I just sort of stuck the stick because he was coming up the boards, and I just did the smallest little like pokey poke. Like I didn't want to go anywhere near him, and then he took off and went down the wing, and I was like, oh, I gotta do more than that. That was pretty bad. Like I literally went like, like I just didn't want to go near it, and then he went up I think he scored like the shot off of that or something. But
is there anybody in B that you thought would dominate B that hasn't, or the vice versa, that you didn't see them coming up? And
shout out to the French bulldog Matthias. I think he's like 7th or 8th in scoring in B. Squires Mark Cisse, like again he's second. Squires beat him today. There's a lot of guys that are the skating and stuff is actually pretty good in B, and it's much better than I think like in other years past. There's a lot of good quality guys, a lot of older guys that are. Dave Nolt, guys like that can play. Chad Martin, right? There's a lot of good players that are out there, but it'll be good. The hockey's pretty good,
What about Smicer now? How's Smicer been?
Smicer, by the way, Smicer, that was my fault today. I got the whole Matthias thing messed up. We had too many men, and it was my fault. But yeah, Smicer's good. I think did he have a goal today? I set him up for one. I set him up back in front. He was on the toe of his stick and he should have buried it. But it was good. Fareed was good. Glenn was good. It was a nice game I was just happy to be out there and playing. And
G-Man has been playing some games.
Yeah. He was in a good mood today. He wasn't grumpy grandpa.
G-Man.
Yeah.
Glenn Robinson's been playing some hockey.
Yeah.
So that's good to see.
Zuzu beat him on my fault again. Zuzu was on the boards. I kind of poked at it, but I didn't want to get in there. So then Zuzu pushed past me, went around the back of the net, and scored on a wraparound. And Glenn was watching this side and never saw him go around the other side. So it was open by about. It was in the back of the net before Glenn realized what had happened.
I think Zuzu's been using Yesse's conditioning program.
Yeah.
He was I was commenting on him as he passes on the bench today during our game, and he was bulging out of his tights. His undergarments, and I
think those skates are rocket fuel, man. He doesn't need nothing. Have you seen the skates?
Oh, he's got the new fly lights, right?
Yeah, they make him fly.
So
he's dancing.
Zuzu is showing his prowess in B. Didn't he join halfway through or something?
Well, because and then he hurt his foot. He did his ankle like a day in, and then the same thing again. But now he's back with he can give the Surfers a puncher's chance, right? Him and Dean are a pretty good, solid back line, and then they got some players. They just got to get lucky, right?
So we're hearing some rumblings about possibly the Catteries having their own league. Brent today mentioned it in passing that there's talks of them facilitating their own league in January, and
What does that mean?
yeah.
That's big news.
So what does that entail, right? So
Does that mean like we're playing there in a separate league?
well, obviously it means that they're going to have to play, in essence, all of their games at the new rink. What do we call that? An ABHA?
ABHA.
And because I don't think they have permission to play any of their games.
No, they won't be able to.
Gondolania.
It's not an option for them.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. My guess is, though, we've heard this song and dance before.
I was gonna say, what's the song? One step forward,
Yeah.
2 steps back.
So,
Sorry.
Sometimes it holds the league in ransom, our league at ransom, because we're kind of tied with them sometimes. But I think this year it's been a little bit. We've severed that tie. We exist on our own.
I do like having the Qataris in the league.
If they want to get back in, that's fine. But but they need to make a decision.
Yeah.
On things, it holds up everything else. So a lot of things get predicated on what they're doing, and we finally this fall they weren't able to make a go of it, and so we just got to move on with Plan B.
Which Ed, like the big thing, the other big thing we're gonna have to figure out is for the kids, right? Like those poor kids, the 16, 17-year-olds, like that played in the league last year and stuff. They're just sort of dancing around playing like in the little kids stuff. They don't really have much to compared to what playing in the men's league and improving and challenging themselves. Like those kids not being able to play with ABHAA means those kids didn't have any chance to access like competitive games. And guys like Jad and Tice and the forwards, right? Those kids just all, I'm sure they're missing it like crazy.
So there's 3 entities that are involved with us with regard to us playing hockey here in the desert. So, our main venue is Gondolania Ice Rink at Bellagio. And then we have the ABHA rink as well, but, that's hit or miss. But then we have the entity of the Oryx, which is governed by the Qatar Winter Olympic Committee. And then we have our own entity, which is the QIIHL Men's League. And then we have Gondolania, who is the host where we play our games. And to appease everyone at any given time is very tenuous.
Yeah, tenuous to say that.
It's like there's a lot of factors at play.
McNair does a ton of stuff. You need to be like a very organized person.
It's like juggling.
Do what he does, yeah.
Juggling. You have to be a great juggler.
And make some decisions that are constantly liquid and changing.
Yeah, because like as we've said in the past, there's always a curveball coming. There's always the goalposts that are moving. And it's hard to nail down things when you have these aspects going on that always are forever changing. So the appreciation goes to the executive for doing the best they can to keep us on the ice.
So speaking about that, there's 2 things that I would be remiss if I didn't talk about in this podcast. One, need more refs. A guys, definitely we need. I know it's like a thing but A guys need to step up. You need to figure it out. It's there's just not enough refs that can do it. Like, and you guys know the rules and you know how it all works and stuff. Y'all bitch when the B guys screw up anyway. So you got to put money where your mouth is and you got to play. And then the other thing is goalies. I think for goalies we need to do like a winter camp or something, and like maybe just see how many guys can like it or any good at it and stuff, right? Like McNair couldn't do it when a year and a half ago. McNair was the first games he was playing. He was pretty rough,
if it
right?
wasn't for Brent and Charles filling in as e-bugs, we would have had a lot of games missed.
We would have probably missed a third of games if neither of them stepped up.
And it's not like Brent or Charles are no good. They're pretty good actually.
Yeah.
But we need the goalies who have signed up. We know that everyone's schedule can change, and
like guys that are in B that are maybe like not sure about it with hockey and stuff. Like, try it, right? And then you might find out that you're You like being a goalie, and you can play in the B games, and then that frees up more guys
right, and you might
in the A games, right?
Who knows? You might actually like being on your knees.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, right. You might be.
You know, the butterfly might agree with you.
Hey,
Who knows?
the stacking the pads works for Robert, man. Robert's got that. I love his. He's got that Robert.
Does he go by Robert or is it Robert?
Robert. We'll go.
Is his last name LeBlanc?
The double stack, the Patrick Waugh double stack coming out.
Is his surname LeBlanc?
Bunny LaRock.
LeBlanc is his last name.
Is it? Yeah, it's LeBlanc, right?
So it might be Robert LeBlanc.
Right? Yeah, I love it.
So. Robbie, the netminder, Robert. So we need to probably get more vested interest. I mean, not everybody can play goal, but we can do a better job with refereeing.
I think everybody just needs to sort of realize that the league doesn't just run on like the same 5 guys. We all need to pitch in, right? If the league's gonna go, and I know like a lot of A guys just don't want to deal with the bitching and stuff, but like.
Well. Yeah, I mean, there's no reason why. Like, we had a game on Tuesday versus the Oil Kings. There's
no reason that me and Steve Boutiel should be reffing a game, an A game, when I'm like just back for hip surgery and like, you know what I mean?
So that's what I'm gonna say. Like, our game was basically a playoff game on Tuesday night this past week, us and the Oil Kings. And if we had to win the game, it was actually worth 4 points because we didn't have the ice time to play the game that got canceled because of the Israeli bombing.
Right.
So we decided, the brass decided, 4-point game, worth 4 points for that game. And we didn't have league goalies. And right up until 10 minutes before the game, we didn't have referees.
Yeah.
And you're talking about a game that was pivotal to the seedings and where everyone gets placed. And so, in essence, it was a playoff game for us. If we had won, we could have leapfrogged Dune Bashers and had number 1 seed. So, like at this juncture, to use a word that Blake finds somewhat humorous when I say at this juncture of the season, we shouldn't be having that problem. We should be able to, you know what I mean? Like, we got enough guys that are involved in the league. We should get refs from the guys that aren't playing.
Speaking of Blake, 53 minutes in PIMS. Penalty minutes, 53 for Blake. That's well done, buddy. I think you're leading the league.
Is he leading?
I'm pretty sure. Definitely. There's way more in A than there is in B.
Mikko Rantanen, he's starting to look like Mikko Rantanen, and all of a sudden he's lost his mind. But Blake might be the Brady Hartsfield of the league. If anybody out there other than me and Jim know who Brady, the fictional character of Brady Hartsfield is.
What's that?
There's probably some people that watch it. The Mercedes Man on Netflix.
Yeah.
Brady Hartsfield.
Yeah.
Psychosis.
Right.
So sometimes we're all guilty of it. I can be guilty of it too, losing my mind from time to time. So Balake sometimes loses his mind.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, there's some fire. If it wasn't fire, it wouldn't be hockey, right?
Usually Jim too. He usually loses that mostly at Jim, the biggest fucker in the league.
Yeah, no, it's everyone loves to have a good.
Anyway,
Squires was going off today on the bench when it was just, and he was mad. He was so mad. I love it. I love when Squires gets like that, and everybody just kind of is like, okay, all right. Like they're listening to it, but
I'd love to hear Squires say, "I'm going to carve you up."
Yeah, he gets mad. Love it. All right. On that, we'll say goodbye before we have to cut out big chunks of this, but
keep your head up, stick on the ice.
Thanks.